MCs, please take it over.
Yeah. Now it's time to get back on track of gaining knowledge and diving deep into the world of wisdom. Good evening once again to everyone present here. Welcome back to yet another session. It's my utmost pleasure to welcome you all to check its first ever international research consortium, connecting the minds of tomorrow to the experience of today. I hope you all are ready to experience the future of research. Let's poke and pry with the purpose and bridge the distance between an idea and its realization. This 8-day long consortium will open doors to various opportunities that the world may never have seen. It is brought to you in collaboration with ACM, LLM IIT Jaipur, Heartfulness Organization, BMSC, BMSCE, ECEL IIT Mandi, IEEE, BMSC, SCE, Code Chef, Microsoft Innovation Club, Music Club, Dance Club, Dramatics Club, BIT Chennai, Skillanta, OJSV LPU, and Affinity Broadening, along with our sponsors, Varivo Motors and EduCheck. Aishwarya will continue.
Now, without any further delay, let's invite today's speaker, who is none other than Gangadhar Iluru, sir. He is currently working as a postdoctoral research in Veggie University, Brussels. He has a MSc in physics from IIT Kanpur and has an experience of more than 4 years as research scholar in the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He has also published several papers, few of which are structured illumination microscopy, hand-powered elastomeric pump for microfluidic point-of-care diagnostics, single-layer microfluidic device to realize hydrodynamic 3D flow focusing, and others. We are so honored to have you here today, sir. The stage is all yours. Please enlighten us.
Thank you, Aishwarya, for the warm introduction. And thank you all, Dr. Rajesh Rekte and the CheckDate team for inviting me to present here. And I will start sharing my screen without any further delay. Okay, so this is a workshop on goal setting for starting research. And I presume most of you here are either doing PhD or above. So it might be an interesting question, to start with why we need to do some sort of a goal setting for researchers. Yes, this is not simply a thing for researchers. Goal setting is something common, and it is to be done by everyone in life. Let us start exploring it more deeply. First of all, what is goal setting? Goal setting is, the name itself tells us that setting goals to accomplish anything that we want. Okay. To start with an example, we always think a goal to be big, like, okay, I want to become a successful professor or researcher, or I want to be super rich, or I want to be a best athlete, one thing or the other. And there could be goals as simple as like, I want to go and close my door. And it may appear quite stupid why such goals, like which are so small, might be significant. Okay, so to start with an example why we need goals. Why I chose such a tiny goal as a relevant goal is there had been scenarios. Okay, one such scenario I will explain. Imagine, especially if you are PhD students, uh, we all must have gone through stages of bachelor's. Okay, uh, especially after coming from school, like or college, and entering a university, most of us tend to leave our homes where our parents' control is there and get into hostels where we have a bit more of a freedom. Sometimes it may so happen that you may have too much freedom, where no one will be there to monitor you, and you are left for yourself for your own good or bad. And during such situations, you know there are pitfalls that can happen because of the lots of opportunities that we have to have fun over online. It could be gaming, it could be YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatnot. So it was such a scenario with a few people whom I came across, and in the beginning it appears fun, and with the time what happens is it becomes an addiction. And it becomes such an addiction, they get everything what they want on their laptop or on their computers, and they stick to their bed and hardly they move out. And for them, with the time, their mind gets so preoccupied with all the stuff they have in their whatever they have been going through, they sort of enter into a depression phase where they don't have much of a control of themselves. And for them, it is very much appreciated if they can actually move out of their bed, and start putting some small goals. Okay, now what I should do, just go open my room door, have some fresh air, go to the restroom, or go to the small restaurant, whatever. See, and such small goals can become relevant to such people. And what is the consequence of it? It helps us to strengthen our willpower. Every act we do, every goal we accomplish, by putting a goal and accomplishing it, it is reinforcing our will. And in addition, it boosts our self-confidence. It gives us more confidence that another goal of such nature I can easily accomplish. And these are the stepping stones. And the question of small or big appears, it's very subjective. And for the scenario that I have given for those people who got into such levels of depression, for them such goals can be bigger, just like opening a door. And for most of us, they may appear quite trivial. But for us, there might be some other goals which may appear bigger, and for a few others, they might be trivial. So, and having understood that, setting up goals in one way or the other is important, okay, and it helps us to go somewhere along the line to whatever we presume as our main goal of life. Of course, it's very important, first we need to understand what is it are we doing. This is all one perspective so far, whatever I have described to you about setting up goals. Starting with a small goal and all that. But there is another perspective to goal setting, as most of us as researchers, we might be in the early stages of doing research, whatever it might be. It's a question to ponder. Where is it that we are going? Have we chosen the career of research because of what? What is our reason? And after few years of doing PhD, where we want to land up? Maybe you want to go for a postdoc, or maybe you want to get into an industry job or some other place, whatever it might be. Where do you tend to see yourself? And then what is the consequence, after several years of moving forward into your life? Okay, what do you want to accomplish? And that becomes your main goal of life. And it can be anything. You want to become a very successful researcher, or you want to be super rich, or it can be anything. Okay, so having understood, okay, and we will have a small workshop, I will say small exercise somewhere towards the end of this presentation, where we will start looking into setting up some goals for ourselves. Now, let us brood over a bit. Okay. Imagine I have some level of goals that I wanted to achieve. And how should I structure those goals? That's quite important. And that will be the main topic of our presentation today and the discussion. So broadly speaking, goals are classified into two different types. One is a long-term goal and another is a short-term goal. When do we consider goals to be long-term? Just like as I spoke a bit before, when the goals are, going for the as the life goals, or when we're trying to see ourselves where I will land up in the coming 10 years or 5 years. Do I want to become a professor somewhere, or do I want to start a company of my own, or like think over whatever it might be, or do you want to become, get into some industry and have a well-settled life? So these are the things that when we are going to talk about 5-10 years and then beyond, we typically call them as long term. And there is no sharp border that classifies long term versus short term, but this is the typical case. And when we talk of short term, given our objectives, when we are going to look into, couple of years or few months, few weeks, and even few days, and even now, today, what you are going to do, they all fall under the category of short-term goals. So what people have come up with, and it is indeed very logical and makes more sense to all of us who actually go through this something called a SMART goals, is it's a criteria to make ourselves very efficiently become successful in accomplishing our goals, whatever they might, So what is that criteria? Every goal that we keep should be as specific as possible. So a goal can be very broad. When you say, okay, now your goal is after in coming 7-8 years, okay, you want to become a professor in a very top institution in the world. I will say it's a very broad goal. When you say top over there, it's not very specific. Some people may consider top 1,000, top 100, top 50, top 10. You see, when you're going to give a number, when you say top 10 or top 100, when the associated number is present, it becomes more specific. It can be even more specific. No, I want to be more specific to Indian universities. And then you can be further specific. I want to apply those universities, say NITs, IITs, ISS, just as an example. So this is how we can break down and keep our goals to be more specific. When we are going to be more specific to where we want to land up, okay, then your actions, become very much oriented towards. And then there is another thing is, the goal has to be a measurable goal as well. So sometimes people can give abstract goals like, I want to be a successful researcher. The question of success, it's a very subjective term. When you give subjective terms like, successful researcher, a super rich, these are all subjective. When such subjective things are there, it's hard to accomplish these goals, because, okay, somebody may consider, say becoming super rich or earning a lot of money. For a beggar, it may appear that, a person earning 1,000 rupees a day may appear, is super rich. He's earning a lot every day. And for a person who is earning 1,000 rupees a day, a person earning maybe 10,000 or a lakh per day may appear super, rich. So it's all subjective. That's why whatever your goal is, make it more measurable. Okay, I want to settle down myself into a job which makes me earn probably 2 lakh a month. That makes it more measurable. So keep yourself, whatever the goal you keep, as a measurable one. It is applicable to both short-term and long-term goals. Whatever the goal you want to accomplish, they have to follow this SMART criteria, and that makes it more efficient to accomplish. And A standing for attainable. And of course, it's very relevant. Okay, all of us can keep, okay, a specific goal, measurable goal. Okay, so if I keep a measurable goal of like, okay, I want to publish every year 10 papers in a very high impact journal, say Nature, is it attainable? I will say very, very less likely, So people who are into the area of research, I mean, I gave an example of Nature as something that's very relevant to my fields, but it can be very relevant to your fields. You may look into some top tier journals. And then when you want to keep such a goal, it's very hard to attain. Then you have to look into what is more practical. Look into your own past experience. What is it that I could accomplish so far? And where do I see myself, in forecasting yourself as a more attainable thing? Maybe probably you can aim for 1 to 3 years. Okay, that probably is an attainable goal. So that's how you have to assess yourself and keep your goals in a more attainable way, and also keep your goals in a more relevant. If your intention of a long-term goal is to become and establish yourself as a professor in say engineering, like say mechanical engineering, okay, I'm just giving an example. And if you start working all your relevant, I mean, putting goals, oh, I want to do a 100-kilometer athlete, and you start keeping all your goals in that direction, there is no way that you start orienting yourself becoming a mechanical engineering professor somewhere else, because what you have kept for yourself seems to be much more diverted or away from what you want to become. So keep your goals, whatever that are, relevant. Sometimes they may go a bit aside, but they can still support you, but they should not be too aside. So that's my point over here, which means sometimes you need not be practicing for becoming an athlete in 100 kilometers or like or a 100 meters or a 1 kilometer race. These are some examples I'm just quoting. So you may, I mean, keep side goals. I mean, for becoming a professor, it doesn't matter, mechanical or whatever, you need to have a healthy body. So keeping a goal that, okay, I want to keep my body healthy, so I would like to, in the coming 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, keep a specific rhythm for my exercises. Okay, or I want to go to a gym, or I want to do some yoga, something that makes me fit. These could be some goals that are in a way orienting you to accomplish your goals, because only a healthy body and a healthy mind can help you go wherever you want. Okay, so these are supportive goals, and supportive goals can be relevant. And the most important, of course, or the equally important as above, is the goals have to be time bound. If you don't keep a time of becoming, you want to publish 10 papers, okay, but if you don't say coming 5 years, 10 years, it becomes indefinite. Okay, it may go like you end up I will say I will publish 10 papers maybe by the end of my life. Okay, that will not take us anywhere. So if you want to be more actionable oriented, okay, please try to ensure that whatever the goals you keep, they follow this SMART criteria. So I will take you a brief example, okay, that's more relevant to some of you. Could be, say, some person, say Miss X, she's in her first year of her PhD, and she kept herself, okay, now I'm thinking of going to NIT Surat Kal in the coming 8 years as a professor. This need not be, I mean, this is very specific. This can be quite broader. Okay, when you're going to choose your goals, it's not always possible to be so specific that you want to end up there, because it is in principle it need not happen, but you can still keep and be flexible around it. Keep a broader class so that it is a bit broader and not too specific. And so to accomplish that goal, and there are next level long-term goal, okay, she probably needs to have some 5 years. Within the coming next 5 years, she should complete her PhD with 5 publications in good journals, and then probably she may also wants to do, you know, a postdoc or anything like this. But this is her goal, you know. And then she, to accomplish this 5 publications 5 years, okay, so first she has to start from somewhere, you know. So she thought to herself she wanted to have, okay, 2 of her publications. Okay, out of the 5, she first thought, okay, at least the 2 of her publications should be in a very high quality journal, because then only her chances of getting somewhere better will improve. And then she thought, okay, let me first have my publication at the end of my second year. Okay, so these are all, if you look into all these structures, you know, to accomplish first goal, she has to follow, you know, accomplishing an earlier goal, which are a bit shorter term than the long-term goals. And to accomplish these short-term goals, okay, and there are even shorter term goals. Okay, I should complete this by the end of 2 years. I should have my first publication. And to accomplish even the first publication, you know, she should be in a position, you know, to solve some problems, you know. So what problems if I solve in my research, I will be in a position to even start writing my paper, you know. So these are more practical. And then you outline yourself, okay, in the first 6 months, I should be able to solve this problem P1. Once I solve this problem P1, then I will be embarking upon solving problem P2, which may take a bit longer, and this can take up to 10 months. If I successfully solve these 2 problems, I will be in a position to start drafting my paper. And these are still a bit longer, because in practice, we are struck with even problems that are, you know, even smaller. Okay, now I am struck with even smaller sub problems, P1A and P1B. In the coming 2 weeks, first I should ensure that these are solved. Okay, then only I can take my next step towards my success or accomplishing a bit longer term goals. So this is a way how you can think of yourself, you know, structuring and your goals in your research. This is one classic example that can help you to figure out for yourself. Now, this is the time we take a few minutes, okay? And this is an exercise for all of us. Let us start thinking, you know, what are the goals that we have kept for ourselves as a long-term goal? Okay. I think someone is not in mute. Can someone mute them up? Thank you.
ಪಾನಿಪುರಿನೂ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮಸಾಲಾ ಪುರಿನೂ
Okay.
It's done, sir.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So take a couple of minutes and look into your own self and see where you want to land up in the coming 5 to 10 years. That sort of makes your long-term goal. Couple of minutes, you can focus upon it and write it, you know, somewhere or even in your mind. That's okay. Now, keeping in view of whatever the goal you have kept for the long term, divide that goal into few short-term goals. So the short-term goals, in the coming 1-2 years, what is it that you want to accomplish? And then in the coming few months, few weeks, down to few days, if you can broadly write it down in accomplishing your long-term goals, what is it that you want to keep as your short-term goals? In practice, this may take a bit longer, but this is an exercise. So even in few minutes, whatever you could write, that will be fine. I hope you could think of something in the direction. Now, let us move on to the next part. So this is something that's more important what I'm going to discuss right now. First, we should keep in mind whatever the goals that we have kept or all the discussion that we made so far with regards to goals. The goals are very dynamic in nature, which means a person X may have a goal of becoming something when he was a child. And as he started, going through school, and then going through college, his goals started evolving into something else. And then into something else. So the goals will continue to evolve. And this is very important. And you should be very flexible with regards to that. Don't be adamant and tell to yourself that, okay, I kept this goal as something that I want to accomplish for my life and I will stick to it. No, I will say that will not be very productive, because we have to be flexible enough and move as per how the whole world is moving across. As a child, your goal could be very silly, but which you don't know. Okay, but if you're going to stick even after becoming an adult, still you're going to pursue only that goal, that will not help. And as your knowledge and your experience broadens, you will have a higher vision of things, where you can set higher goals for yourself. And for that, you should learn to be flexible and adaptable, more accepting things as they come through. Another thing is, it is not always that we succeed in all the goals that we keep. And sometimes, in many a times, especially the time-bound goals, we always give some timeline for it, okay? And then say, oh, in the coming few days, I will try to accomplish this. Especially in research, it's almost never happens. You may try to go and do this. You may keep a schedule for yourself. Okay, next week I will do this. Up next week I will do something else. Then you will end up seeing, even after a 1 month also, you are still continuing to do the first thing that you started with. The biggest problem with it is, we overestimate ourselves, and also we underestimate the problems there. So, and both of it, I mean, we are justified in that aspect. We can try to be, more having a higher goal in our mind, okay? Having accomplished this very quickly, of course, we'll move forward very quickly. But the thing is, it's not realistic. It's not something that happens. We get to know that, the problems that we saw earlier are bigger than what they are, because we lack experience. And this experience comes from your past failures, that, okay, this thing to accomplish it not always takes this time. This may take longer time. And these are some problems that I have not seen before and started coming up now. So be practical. It's okay. When you fail, readjust your goals now. Always look into, okay, now having seen this far, this is taking this much time to accomplish these goals. Now the practical thing for me is to put, instead of going for this much to do in this time, let me condense that part of the work. Let me do only this much in this time. This way it becomes more practical, and even accomplishing your thesis or anything, whatever, you take it up further, it becomes more practical when you start learning from your past, adapting yourself, assessing yourself in a more careful way, and readjusting your goals. And as I already mentioned, goals do evolve, so be ready for it. And these are the last words that I will give with regards to setting up goals. And I will take up any questions if you have, and I think we still have few minutes.
That was an amazing session, sir.
Thank you, Saharsh.
So Aishwarya has some question, I guess. Her hands are raised. Aishwarya, please go ahead. And others as well, if you have other sessions, feel free to ask them.
So I have this tiny query, for you, sir. In the era of internet, where our generation, gets diverted easily, and procrastination is something that is a problem that everybody faces. So how do you think we should be, we should be able to get over it? I mean, stop procrastinating or something like that. Do you have any advice for it, sir?
Okay, I will say it like this. Procrastination is a very big problem, as you rightly pointed it out. Almost everyone goes through it. It is solely because, one of the reasons, at least I believe, is we don't have a great control. We don't have a, urgency or a responsibility on your head. If you feel, imagine, I just give you an example, okay? If you become a parent, and when you're going to take care of your child, because I'm a parent and the context very much pertains to me, okay? I cannot procrastinate several things that belongs to, taking care of my child, especially, when he gets hungry, what he simply cries. So I have to be prepared that, okay, before I go to bed, whatever it may cost, I have to ensure that I, myself and my wife, we ensure the food is ready for them. Okay, ready for him, milk, whatever it might be. And then ensure, taking care of his diapers, look at the stock, what we have, what we don't have. All these things, where are they stemming from? Before we became parents, we hardly ever cared for them. Now, once we started having our baby, all this responsibility, we naturally started adopting ourselves into what we need to look into. The question of procrastination, even though I gave a very generic example pertaining to the family, even when it goes to your own work, whatever it might be you look into. Imagine you become a manager and you have several employees that are under you, and you have a boss to whom you need to report. What happens is you may not be able to procrastinate so easily things because there is an immense pressure. And of course, that pressure percolates down the line into the employees under you. Okay. And all this happens because now you have to be responsible, and there is a huge penalty that you have to pay if you become irresponsible. And see in your life, wherever it might be, you have that sense of responsibility. Whenever we have that sense of responsibility, like it's depending upon something else. Okay. Or if I don't study well and get a job, or if I, my family may suffer, and see if there is a sense of that pressure, building upon you. When it is there, then naturally we become responsible. And, we little procrastinations here and there is fine. We are not perfect beings, but in a very broader sense, okay, we tend to be, get rid of this habit of procrastinating and all this in a very natural way. And this is what I see. And the underlying point is, see if you can keep yourself, make yourself, a bit more responsible. And keep your goals in such a manner, or remind yourself that, I should not procrastinate it because so and so is depending upon. And make that as concrete as possible and as strong as possible, then your level of procrastination will go down. And that's it. I hope it answers your query.
It indeed did. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Wow, sir, your session was really good and it enlightened us and was inspiring too. Thank you for such an enriching talk. I'm pretty sure everyone here today has directed about their goal, and thanks for your guidance here. If anyone has any queries regarding the session, please let us speaker know. Dear attendees, CheckDate brings you its mega internship program from where you can gain insight to the real world. For more info on this, please head out to our website. Also note kindly, please fill in the feedback form for your attendance in the consortium. Now it's time for the vote of thanks, for which I would like to invite Saharsh. Saharsh, bro.
Thank you. Thank you, Loksharan. Thank you very much. Sir, it was an amazing session, and trust me, I have also written my goals, jotted down them on a paper, also on a notepad in the computer. So every time wherever I'm sitting, I will have a keen note on my goals that this is what I need to accomplish, and I will be working on that. So thank you very much, sir, for such an amazing session. Team, are we ready to present the screen, or it is still not possible? Loksharan, please look into that meanwhile so that we can present the memento. Otherwise, we will be sharing with you, sir, the memento of gratitude, that how thankful we are for your amazing session. I can see you have changed the slide of thank you, and we are more thankful to you, sir, for your amazing contribution. I know you were really busy in your time schedule, then too, you've taken out this particular hour out of your schedule to help us out on this particular goal setting project, that if we will have a goal, we will have a more optimal approaches towards that, achieving to it. So definitely looking forward to it. And if we will have some success stories, I will love to share them with you as well. So thank you very much, sir, for your session once again. I will also like to thank our moderators, Aishwarya and Lok Sharan. You were amazing. Thank you, Rajeshwari ma'am and Susan ma'am, for always being there and guiding us throughout, and everyone involved in the process. Thank you very much. Thank you. So we will be having another meditation and a body and mind relaxation session. And after that, we will be winding up for today. So stay tuned for that. We will be starting that particular session in 3 minutes. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Saharsh, and everyone for inviting me from Shakti team. And it was indeed a very nice session for me too. And thanks again, and looking forward to seeing you all in future once again.
Thank you. And we will be in touch, and sir, for some or other way. So yeah, we will be disturbing you now onwards. Thank you. Thank you once again.
Thank you.